What's up, L3 Warriors? Welcome to this episode of Elite Conversations, where we talk to outstanding young people to hear their stories and strategies for living life on an elite level. My name is Jeremy Jackson, and I'm joined here today by Sophia Prost. Sophia is the co-president of FCA, co-president of Key Club, founder of the Welcome Ambassadors at her high school, president of HOSA, and vice president of NHS. She is an AP scholar with honor, has a 4.5 GPA, a 34 on her ACT, and plays varsity basketball. She was asked to represent SCW on the St. Charles Mayor's Youth Task Force. She volunteers at Mercy Hospital and for Camp Rainbow, plays the piano in her church's worship band, and has attended mission trips and leadership camps as well. Sophia plans to major in medical humanities or international healthcare in college. Her ultimate goal is to become an emergency physician, trauma surgeon, or surgical oncologist that focuses on healthcare around the world. She wants to be involved in medical mission trips, traveling to underprivileged areas of the world and providing the people there with medical care as well as spiritual guidance. Sophia, thank you very much for being here, taking your time today. I've known you for about 8 or 9 years now, and you're truly an outstanding young lady. Partially because the gifts and talents you've been blessed with, but mostly because the choices that you've made in your life, which are awesome. I really want to start by acknowledging the very clear vision you have for your future, medical humanities and international healthcare. That is pretty specific. How did you come to find your passion and purpose in those areas?
So I had no idea I wanted to major in either of those until maybe 6 months ago. But I always knew I wanted to be a doctor. I've known that since I was little. And I thought I wanted to major in straight biology or chemistry because that's what I'm good at. I'm good at sciences. But my mom and I, when we were talking about college and everything, I started reading the class list and all these in-depth biology courses in like evolution and microgenetics and things. I was like, I don't know if I'm really interested in spending 4 years on these tiny things. Mm-hmm. And then we started talking some more, and I was like, I don't want to give up my history classes or learning about cultures or learning about people and how they interact. I don't want to give that up to major in just science, because I also love looking at people and people groups and learning how the world has grown. And I'm not just a science person, because I don't know, I've always considered myself well-rounded in education. I'm not all numbers. So then we looked at a couple different universities that have these really cool, just all-encompassing medical majors where they teach you to look holistically at a person and not just their illness, but their persona, their personality, how their life situations affect their medical condition. And I saw that's perfect for me. So that's how we came to that conclusion.
Very cool. That's awesome. So how does your passion, having this passion and purpose, affect your perspective on your daily academics?
It affects it in every way, pretty much, because I can't cheat, I can't cut corners, I can't take the easy way out, because with my goals, if I'm someday trying to save someone's life and I've cut corners, that's not going to cut it. I know that it affects people other than me in the future, and I know that to be the best that I can be, I have to do the best in everything I do. So that's
so good. Like you're working for something greater than yourself, and that's a huge motivator, right?
Yeah, it's not just me, it's my future patients. It's the people who are going to be affected by what I do now, which is crazy to think about, but it's so important too.
Yeah. It's impressive that you, at your age, like have that clear of a vision, but there's a lot of students, middle school and high school students that aren't quite there yet. They're kind of, and that's probably about normal. Yeah. They're still trying to figure out what their passion and their purpose is and what they want to do. What advice would you give students like that are still pursuing their passion and purpose and trying to figure out why they're in school? What's the purpose of school and how to stay disciplined in that?
Yeah, I think just learning to apply yourself, because you have so much potential that you can reach. And if you're just sitting back right now and not doing anything or working towards something, then that's going to translate over later, because you're going to run out of time. So you have to start now, looking at your life and saying, what do I love to do? How can I use this for others, or how can I use it to my benefit even in a career or a job. So it's going to sustain me. And you have to just sit down and kind of have a talk with yourself and say, okay, I can't just be floating around. What can I do right now to encourage my motivations?
It all boils down to your future is yours, you know? So one accomplishment that I know you're proud of, and you absolutely should be, is you scored a 34 on the ACT. And not so much the score, but you're most proud of kind of how you got there.
Right.
Will you tell me a little bit about that, please?
Yeah. So like you said, it's not the score itself. I'm never going to tell someone it's the score that I'm proud of, because they don't see all the hard work that went into that, because there are kids who can sit down in the ACT, take it once, and get a 36. I know that. But when I was a freshman, I guess, sat down with my mom after we took the practice ACT here. I'd gotten a pretty high score already. And I said, you know what, I'm going to get a 33 because I know I can do it, but I really want a 34. And I told her that, and she remembers that day because we've talked about it before. And she's like, okay, you're going to do that. And she's always believed in me, which really helps too. So having a figure in your life who does that helps. And then I didn't take the first real one until I was right before junior year, which is pretty early still because most people don't take it till they're seniors. And I got that score back, and I think it was a 31. And I was happy, but I was not satisfied, nowhere near satisfied. And I was like, okay, that was my baseline. I'm going to get started now. So I sat down and I started studying, and that studying continued for the next year pretty much. I would get home from, I remember Sunday basketball practice. I would go upstairs, put my stuff away, and lug my big ACT books, like they're this thick, out of the closet, drag them down on the table, and then sit there doing practice problems on Sundays. What else did I do? I did tutoring as well to help me with the math, because that was what I struggled in, and I knew I struggled in that. So I would devote probably an hour and a half a week to math. I would take full practice tests on weeknights, and then on the day before the ACT, I would go through all my formulas. I had a list of all the formulas that were important. And then I would review grammar. And I don't even know how many hours. I spent a lot of hours reviewing those things. And then I took it in October, and I got a 32. And then I took it in December and got a 33, which I was so excited about, like over the moon. And then after that wore off, I think it took maybe a week before that wore off, and I realized that I could do better. And I think that was the turning point, because I could feel it. There was nothing the 33 is a good score.
Sure. Yeah.
But there was nothing that felt completely fulfilled, because I just knew that I could get that high score that I said I was going to get, even though I wanted a 33, but it was the 34 that I was looking for. And I told myself I was going to get it. And everyone thought I was insane, but I signed up to take the ACT again. And what a lot of people don't realize is I actually went down a point in February. I went down to a 32. And I felt really defeated after that. I was really upset, and my parents can attest to this. I was very, very angry. And so then I started studying even more in the middle of basketball season, studying more and more, like weeknights after homework. I would study that math ACT book. I have the whole thing memorized by now, pretty much.
Wow.
And then I took it one more time in April, and then I got that 34, and I wasn't shocked. I can't say that I was shocked, because I knew all the work that had gone into it, and the pushing myself to take the ACT a total of 4 times, I think, until I got it. So
That's awesome. 2 things. One, I think it's Lisa Nichols that says, don't call me extraordinary to let yourself off the hook. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of people that might just say, oh, Sophia Prost, she's just smart. That's how she was able to get that. But that is discounting all the work that you put in and the fact that you didn't give up. I love the fact that you chose to pursue your best. Mm-hmm. Holding yourself accountable for that one last point, which is extremely difficult to get to. Why was that so important to you? I
think it's because I told myself I was going to get it, and like I said, I knew I could do what I was capable of. I think I was a couple questions off of that 34. And the thing is, it's harder to get, as you get higher, it's harder to raise it.
Absolutely.
Going from those high scores to the next high score, It's much harder than going from, say, a 25 to a 30. It's much harder to go from a 33 to a 34, because it's a matter of a few questions, of maybe guessing correctly or going a little bit faster. But I knew I could do it because I'd seen myself do it on practice tests. I knew that I'm a fast reader, that I have the skills capable of this, that if I just worked a little bit harder, I could get there. And I said I was going to, so I was going to do it.
Yeah. That's awesome. Another thing that I've always admired about you is your affinity for reading, and like I use you as an example, and I tell students all the time, I'm like, if you want to make school easier, just read. Find something that you like reading, practice it, get good at it, because it'll make everything you do in high school and college that much easier.
Oh yeah, that's some of the best advice you can get as a student, is just because reading affects everything. It affects your math problems, your science problems, everything. It affects your critical thinking skills. It gives you more knowledge about little subjects too. Like, I'm good at trivia because I've read books, because I know little things from history. So it just rounds you out as a person. So I will never stop talking about reading.
Awesome. Very cool. Yeah, it's definitely served you well, and I think it will obviously continue to as you dive into your major in college, right? Mm-hmm. So leadership, you serve a lot in so many ways, leadership roles here at the high school. FCA, HOSA, NHS Key Club, Welcome Ambassadors, Mayor's Youth Task Force.
Yeah.
First of all, tell me a little bit about Mayor's Youth Task Force. Sounds like the mayor is sending you out on a secret mission, like wearing all black and busting down doors with a battering ram or something.
Yeah, it kind of does sound like that. We're not that cool, I promise. Okay. I wish we were that cool, but it started last spring, I think spring of 2021. Yeah. Basically, it's a group of representatives from different St. Charles area high schools, and we meet in the St. Charles City Hall with councilmen, the mayor, different business leaders in the city, and we give them a youth perspective on the city, so they can find ways to draw youth in, so people want to move here and improve the city, and also to make the city better for youth. So it's a more livable place, it's a cleaner place, it's a fun place. We're working on some cool projects right now. We're doing a mural contest coming up to make downtown St. Charles a little nicer looking. And then we're doing a youth service day in the spring where all youth from different schools can come and serve their community. And we're working on outreach to different youth for volunteer opportunities to serve their city. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
very cool.
Really neat opportunity for kids. There'll definitely be more students from West who get to be involved in that in the future. So
excellent. I'm
excited.
That's neat. Mm-hmm. That's cool that the mayor and the leadership of the area are taking are seeking out the advice of young people and getting a fresh perspective. So
yeah.
Now, taking on so many responsibilities must be extremely important for you to have a system of tools that help you stay organized. How do you manage like all of that?
Yeah, my mom and I have a little running joke about this actually, because up until I guess a couple years ago, I was that person that forgot things all the time: water bottles, jackets, books, lots of different things, and I was paying my own money to replace them because my mom made me pay, of course, because it's my fault.
Sounds familiar. We do that in our family too.
Oh yeah, and it got to a point where it was ridiculous, the things I was forgetting. And she always said it's because I had so many things going on. Like my mind was working so fast for all of these things that I didn't have time for the mundane things, like doing my laundry, doing dishes, on top of homework and leadership. So she sat me down and said, "You need to figure out something, because we can't do this anymore, and it's not going to work in college because I'm going to be even busier then." So I have a planner now, which is super helpful. Can't recommend that enough. Just get a planner, write down all the little things you have to do. I have a list on my phone now too, which is more the little things I need. So do my laundry, study, go buy a present for someone if I need to get them a present, go get gas, things that I would forget to do. I write down everything because otherwise I won't do it. And then the planner is more for school things. So your assignments, what you need, do this day in this day. So staying organized is super important to be successful. So
it's kind of a combination of, like, you have a physical paper, pencil, notebook type planner, and then you also have your digital on your phone.
Yeah.
I know whenever I asked you, "Hey, Soph, would you sit down and talk with me about some stuff?" You were like, "Here, let me check my schedule." Yep. So that's awesome.
Yeah,
very cool.
Yeah.
For a high school student to be that organized, I mean, it's necessary. Kids are so busy nowadays. And that's just a tool for finding more success and reducing your own stress, right?
Yeah, it'll save you time and money.
Sure.
I can attest to that. So
very cool. I know as a leader, empathy is a very strong characteristic for you and for your leadership style. How would you consider that like beneficial, like within your, like you as a leader, having like empathy towards others?
So I see empathy as a great way to lead others because I like to listen to people before I ever do anything or try to lead them, because I want to know their perspective. I want to know why they're thinking this. Why is their opinion different than mine? Because a lot of times as a leader, you're going to have people who disagree with you. And if I find out and just sit down and talk with them about why they think this, maybe they have a deep-rooted like personal issue with something, then you find that out and you as a leader are more willing to compromise with them. And then they are more willing to let you lead them as well, because you've sat down and listened to them and showed that you really care about them and not just your opinion is right. You show that you care about why they feel the way they do. And a leader isn't about your own decisions. You have to empower others and not overpower them. That's something I like to say a lot.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Because if you're always trying to corral people into what you want to do, to get something done, it's not going to work. They're going to push past you. They're going to butt heads. But if you listen to them and find out why they care about something or the reason why, then they're more likely to do it. So,
yeah, I think leadership gets a kind of misread. Mm-hmm. Like I love that empower versus overpower, because if you think about it, coaches that you've had and teachers that you've had and stuff like that, those that are just trying to force you into like submission, and make you do whatever it is that follow these rules just because I said so, mm-hmm. You're less likely to want to follow that person, as opposed to someone that's trying to understand and empower you to be the best you possibly can. And you're like, all right, what do you got for me? Right.
And then when you empower people, sometimes I think people like to say that lead others, you want them to be the ones leading. And they think, well, I'm supposed to be the leader, so isn't that counterintuitive? But if you empower others to do their best, they're going to make you look better, and they're going to get the project or the task done even better too, because they feel like they can do it, and then you can do it, and it's lifted up much more than it would have been before. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. So Inky Johnson is someone I look up to. He's an outstanding, very motivated leader, motivational speaker, and has an amazing story himself, for those that have not heard before. But he is huge on perspective. Mm-hmm. And he always says, how you view what you do affects how you do what you do. If you could encourage your peers to take a certain perspective in their lives, what would that be? What perspective would you encourage others?
I would definitely say view everything you do as an opportunity to learn and grow, because it's going to make it that much easier to do that thing. I always use the example of I play varsity basketball in high school. I am not the most athletically gifted person. I'm decent, but I'm nowhere near the superstar of the team. I like hanging out with my friends. I like staying active, keeping myself in shape. But there's a point when I wanted to quit basketball because I was so busy and overwhelmed with school and all the things I'm involved in. But lots of people told me not to, and you were one of the biggest motivators in that too, because I just kind of realized that if I stay in basketball, I'm pushing past my busyness. I'm pushing back past my desire to quit, and I'm not a quitter. I hate that word. I hate quit. Yeah. I didn't want to quit, but it was getting to be too much. And so I pushed past it and I stuck with it because I knew that in the future when I'm busy and I have another thing like this that I feel like I want to drop and just be done with, I know that I can do it and I can get past it. So if you look at everything in your life as a way to strengthen your character and strengthen your personality, then it's going to make it so much easier to stick with it. Because now every time I'm getting overwhelmed with basketball in school and college and all that, I just think, you know what, it's preparing me for the future. It's a lesson. So
yeah, definitely. There's so much wisdom in that. I tell students, hey, you have to do what you want to do, but at the same time, there's a lot of mental toughness involved in putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. And I mean, you obviously excel in academic areas. You're gifted in those areas, and you work really hard in those areas, and that's where you excel. But you also have told yourself that this is something that's going to that's going to make me a stronger person. Okay. Not that you hate it, but it's just
No,
like,
I don't,
you know, you're so busy.
Yeah.
But you're like, if I can manage this, then there's something down the line that this lesson and this mental toughness that I'm building right here is going to help me be successful.
Exactly.
So that's awesome. That's a great perspective. If you had one piece of advice that you believe would absolutely increase the level of happiness and success in the lives of students, like right now, like they could apply it right now, and it would increase that level of happiness and success in their lives, what would that be?
I would say don't be afraid of passion, because I think we live in a world that's gotten to a point where not caring is cool. We want to be detached from everything.
Unfortunately.
Not have drive, not have a vision. But if you embrace passion and embrace the things that deep down you know you want to do, you embrace those dreams and goals, you're going to be driven and living a life that's filled with purpose instead of just floating around in a mundane existence that's going to fade really quick. Because if you're not doing anything right now, in 10 years, you're not going to be doing anything either. And then 10 years later, and then you're going to look back and think, why did I not find something back then? Why did I not channel my energy into something that I love and could be doing right now? It's just going to give you something that's long-lasting and fulfilling if you find something to put your energy into. So I would say focus on passion and don't be afraid of it either.
Find something that you're passionate about that's going to kind of give you some purpose in your life and some drive. Excellent. And then fulfillment, which is a huge word.
Yeah.
So in a world that's consistently trying to sell us false visions of success and fleeting happiness, how do you manage to consistently make choices that are steering you towards growth and fulfillment in your life? Those things that are leading towards authentic happiness and success.
Number one would be my faith. I have faith in Jesus Christ, who is never going to fade. So that gives me fulfillment every single day because I base my goals on hopefully what he wants me to do. So I try and have a purpose that's going to fulfill him and not me, because then in turn I will be fulfilled because he died for me. So that is my number one way of staying to my morals, because if I have a savior who does that for me, then I can make the tougher decisions instead of taking the easy way out that the world wants me to take. And then other than that, also just knowing that those things are going to fade. They're short term. Like I kind of said earlier, those things of the world are not going to stay around forever. If you're giving into things like drinking and partying and all that, when you're 80, you're going to wish you didn't do that because it's negative in all ways, mental, physical, and it doesn't give you any purpose or fulfillment at all. So just kind of knowing that in your head would.
Yeah. Sticking to the things that are going to give you, fulfillment and lead you towards success in life. Excellent. Very good. Well, Sophia, thank you very much for taking time to be here today. I've enjoyed the conversation and sharing a little bit about your mindset and your habits that have led you to success in your life, and I guarantee are going to continue to lead you in the right direction for the rest of your life. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. I love doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see you next time for another episode of Elite Conversations.